Hello all, my name is Jim Lacey and I'm Vice Chair of Blanchardstown Castleknock History Society. The Glen Disbullestown is a little known beauty spot, a winding path alongside a gurgling stream. It is a reminder or a remainder of the once vast oak forest, the Great Scaldwood, that stretched from what is today's Phoenix Park to the moor of Mead beyond Dunbine, and on the other hand stretching from the River Liffey to the Great North Road. Here history, geography and geology meet. The glen sits on the slope of the Escoriada, a geological structure created during the Ice Age, when this was the edge of a mighty glacier that covered most of the north of our island, whereas the south was comparatively free from ice. The meltwaters of that great ice sheet at the end of the Ice Age created the series of hills and ridges made of pebbles, stones and rocks that stretch from Dublin to Connemara. It became a political division in ancient times, dividing the island between Lough Cuan, Clonshalf to the north, and Lough Moe, Moshalf to the south. They were two rival kings. When the Milesian tribes settled in Ireland about 3000 BC, some of their chieftains built a dune or a fort in what is now nearby Castleknock College. That dune is still there today, but surmounted by the normal castle of the Tyrrells, who not only came to settle but to conquer. It was here at this spot where Erin's High King Rory O'Connor was defeated by the Norman invaders. Settlers, invaders and natives and new immigrants live here now in peace and in harmony. We must remember, after all, that we are living on an island. So everybody living in Ireland, if you go back far enough, originated from somewhere else. The Emergency Services Parade through Blanchardstown 1943 happened during the Second World War, when there was a real threat of invasion. The Axis powers threatened us from the south, landing possibly along the Waterford-Cork coastline, whereas the Allies threatened from the north, where both American and British forces were already stationed. To let both sides know that we would resist any attempt of an invasion, the Defence Forces organised a series of well-publicised manoeuvres and war games. They even invited some of the top brass in the British forces as observers to come along. There were two main locations where the manoeuvres took place. One along the line of the River Lee and River Blackwater, and to the north along the line of the River Boyne, with a second line along the Royal Canal, very much a reminder of the ancient Lough Cuan, Lough Moe line that ran parallel with the Escoriada. The parade was to celebrate the end of these manoeuvres. So serious was this threat that all the canal bridges were drilled to provide spaces for the insertion of sticks of gelignite to blow the bridges in order to deny entry into Dublin by invading forces. Lord Patrick, who lived in Abbottstown Domain, was a veteran of the First World War and was a grandson of the Duke of Wellington. He stood on the saluting base along with his fellow officers in the Irish Defence Forces as the parade marched past. Cycle race at Jones Road Sports Ground. Jones Road Sports Ground is now part of Croke Park's great stadium. The cyclists in the picture are Herbie Breeden, Frank Baird and Bertie Donnelly, and the race took place during the late 1920s when cycling sports were in their infancy in Ireland. The trio in the picture were all at the top of their sport. Bertie Donnelly had represented Ireland in the 1928 Olympics in Amsterdam and did well in the cycling events, unfortunately without medals to bring home. In 1933, Herbie Breeden from St. Patrick's Park in Blanchardstown and Bertie Donnelly won the 25-mile Irish Tandem Championships. Both were members of the Harp Cycling Club. Bertie Donnelly and his son Sean later ran the well-known Shanty Pub in Mulhuddart village. In November 1977, Herbie and Bertie, who were partners in the tandem racing 44 years previously, died on the same day, within hours of each other. They lie today in Mulhuddart Cemetery, only yards apart, friends forever. Sir Neville Francis Fitzgerald Chamberlain. Sir Neville lived nearby in Oatlands House, Diswellstown. He was Inspector General of the Royal Irish Constabulary from 1900 until 1916. On his watch, Dublin, then the second city of the British Empire, fell into rebel hands for 1 week in Easter 1916. Sir Neville had ignored intelligence reports informing him of the impending rise. He was relieved of his office 3 months after the rising, and using his own words, he retired to a life of hunting, shooting and fishing. His most important contribution in life occurred when he was a young officer serving with the 11th Devon Regiment in India. Bored with the game of billiards while serving in a station where there was not much action, he invented the game of snooker. Ouch! The Duchess of Windsor and Aileen Guinness Plunkett meet in Every Woman's Nightmare. The venue is a cocktail party in Gay Paris in the 1930s. Wallace Simpson lived a life of leisure as a society celebrity, along with her husband, the former King Edward VIII, who abdicated his throne to marry her. Aileen Guinness was also a social celebrity, one of the Golden Guinness Gals. She too had matrimonial problems, resulting from a short fling she had with a debonair Douglas Fairbanks Jr. when he stayed in Luttrellstown Castle as a guest while filming in Ireland. However, on the night of the cocktail party, both ladies must have been totally embarrassed to find themselves dressed in the same attire. In the late 1950s, early 1960s, Lady Aileen would be driven out to Dublin Airport in her chauffeured limousine almost every Saturday morning. There she would board a flight to Paris, and on arrival in Paris she would be whizzed away to her hairdresser or coiffure. Afterwards she would dine in one of her favourite Parisian restaurants, return to her hotel and board a plane back to Dublin the following morning. And wouldn't you do that yourself if you had the money?